WP Sandine. It's Mrs. B here, and it is our 5th episode of Words of Wellness. And our special guest this week is, whoop, whoop, Miss Kostyniuk. Welcome. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. And Mr. Archibald, how are you today?
I'm well. Good to see you guys again, and looking forward to this episode. So
that's awesome. So, Miss Kostyniuk, haven't seen you for a long time. I don't even know how many days it's been. It's been a really long time since we've been at school. So, I'm sure you've been keeping busy with school and assignments and helping students and everything. So, I'm so glad that you're able to meet with us this afternoon. So, it's awesome. So I'm going to start with my 5 random questions. So first question, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. First question, do you like to read books with technology or in standard book form? What's your most favorite?
I'd rather read a book.
A book?
Yeah, standard book form. Yeah. Yeah, I have trouble. I get too distracted when I read on an iPad. So
okay.
I need to read with a book.
That's awesome. And the reason I asked that is because I know you do a lot of reading because you've got a lot of cool books in your classroom. So second question, tell your favorite place you've ever traveled to.
Oh, I absolutely loved Ottawa. I just went there a couple years ago, and there's so much history in that city. Yeah, it was great to go visit the monuments and just kind of explore our own country. So I'm recently trying to explore a little bit more of Canada, just so I can see kind of the great history we have, and then I apply that a little bit to my classes.
That's awesome. I haven't been to Ottawa, so yeah, that'd be on my bucket list. Mm-hmm. So next question, which do you like better, mustard or ketchup?
Oh, that's a tough one. I hated mustard for the longest time, and then lately this year, I'm liking mustard more. So maybe it's just because I'm getting older. Maybe this is what happens when you hit your 20s.
Your tastes are changing.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What is one thing that you had hoped to accomplish during quarantine?
I'd like to write more. I've been kind of starting to write a little bit more this past month, but I want to keep increasing that, and that's kind of my main goal.
Oh, that's cool. So you have been working.
I've been writing quite a bit. Yeah. So there's a lot of my favorite poets or authors are doing writing workshops on Instagram. So I've been kind of following along with them and doing their writing prompts. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So is there a book in your future? Are you going to write a book at some point?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, I never know.
Yeah, never know. Yeah.
Never know. And last question. Growing up, did you live in town or did you live out of town?
I grew up on a farm.
You grew up on a farm?
Yeah, and I did live in town for a few years in that time, but yeah, mostly grew up on a farm.
So you took the bus to school usually until you
got... I did. Yeah, until I got my license and then got a job. So.
Oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. See, easy peasy. You passed.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yay! Those are easy questions. Mm-hmm. Mr. Archibald, how are your questions doing?
They're sitting here. They're waiting patiently. So good job, Mrs. B. Always love your questions. So yeah, I've got a few. I'm actually wanting to know a little bit more about you, Miss Kostyniuk. Did I say that right?
You did, yeah.
I said that right. I struggle with saying your last name, so thank you for making sure I'm good on that one. But I want to know how you became a teacher, how you got to Shellbrook, kind of your path here. So.
Yeah, for sure. So my mom is a teacher, so I kind of have always grown up in that environment and recognizing the amazing work that teachers do every day and how much work it is, but the passion and the rewarding job it comes with. So I grew up in that environment. I struggled a lot in elementary school with academic work. I had a lot of trouble kind of grasping a lot of the concepts. When I kind of hit middle years in high school, I started to get a hold of a lot of what was going on academically. And as I was in high school, I started teaching swimming lessons. I was a part of a kids group in my hometown. I also started teaching figure skating as well. So
Wow.
as I was doing that, I fell kind of in love with watching kids grow and teaching them and helping them. It was also great, especially when I taught swimming lessons, to see them maybe swimming half of the pool and then going to the full length of the pool. And that was kind of just rewarding for me. But also to see the passion and the pride that a lot of parents have as well was kind of what I loved to be a part of. So I think I was 16, I kind of decided that I wanted to go into the education field. So I started with arts and science at the U of S, applied into education with my teaching areas of history and English. Before that, I finished my history degree, started working at a museum at the University of Saskatchewan, running tours of our museum exhibit, started doing tours of campus, running educational programming, developing educational programming. And then I got into my first school as student teacher in Duck Lake at Stobart Stobart School. And I did grade 7 to 10 English, and I learned so much from my cooperating teacher. The way I teach my English now is because of the passion that she has. And then after my internship, I got placed at Warman High School, which took more of a history focus. And that is kind of where I focused on revamping a way history is taught and making sure that we're getting those critical thinking skills from history. And that's kind of been my two passions for the last 3 years. I was not done school yet, and I applied to Sask Rivers, and I got a phone call that said that there was a position for me in Shelbrook. So I took it right away. It was for grade 6 and grade 10 ELA. So then it kind of went from there. I got moved until the high school end last year and teaching history and English, and I absolutely love it. It's where I want to be, and it's where my passions are. So that's kind of how I got here.
That's awesome.
Cool. That's great. Wow. That's so really you've been a teacher for a number of years, not just in the educational system, but just from a young age and helping others in your community and teaching kids and stuff. So that's amazing. And thank you for sharing. One of the things that stood out there was your passion for history, right? And museums and stuff. Where did that come from? I'm just curious about that. How did that come about?
Well, I was looking for summer jobs, and I came across the museum that was on the U of S, and there's a couple other museums in Saskatoon. I had a couple family members suggest it, and a professor suggest it to me, so I jumped right on board, applied, and I got a phone call that I got a job. And yeah, absolutely, I did so much. I learned so much from that job. I got to meet amazing people. We got to do museum exhibit openings, and I was able to make connections with so many people. So it was an amazing experience. Yeah.
That's cool. Just even, I know we're on a Zoom call, but it sure can, it shows that, your face lights up with that passion for
it
history
does.
and museum. Yeah. It's straightforward. So that's great. I've got 2 more questions. One is, when I coming into this episode and just kind of identifying you and thinking about you in the hallways and what I know about the school and how you represent yourself. And I've been in the school. Well, I've worked with teachers for probably the last almost 15 years. When I see you doing your classroom and teaching and going up and down the hallways, one of the words that sticks out is driven. When I think about you, can you tell me what that means to you, or how you incorporate that into your day at school?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this word since we talked about this last week, and a couple of things come to mind. I think driven's been a big part of my life for a long time, especially since I struggled academically. That was hard at that age to really come to terms with it. I also struggled in my first couple of years of university. That was a big wake-up call. So I found that I became a little bit more driven to do well and push myself and gain that knowledge and that experience. I think looking at today now that we're driven, kind of more applies to the work that students are doing and kind of helping guide them and being driven to not only direct them in the right path, but also help them to be engaged and recognize that my passions can become their passions as well as their choice. But I've seen especially an increase in the amount of reading that is being done in my classroom, which is awesome because I absolutely hated reading at a young age. It wasn't until I read a Lemony Snicket, a series of unfortunate events series, that's when I kind of fell in love with reading. But I'm driven to, in a way, to make sure I see outcomes, but also see that they can do well if they put their mind to it, and I want to help students do that. So I'm really driven in that way to make sure that they're finding their own passions, but also recognizing that they can do it. So
for sure, I like that quality, and I see that in you as well. Being driven, so it's you can overcome lots of obstacles. You know, you just have to take one step forward every time, and it gets easier and easier as soon as you start. So, but probably the biggest hurdle is to get started. That's with anything. But thanks for sharing. That's amazing. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's also the learning experience too. Like I've learned so much in these last 3 years of teaching. The way I kind of approach my classes are very different every year.
Right.
But I have to thank students for that. They're the ones that are teaching me every day. It's
right.
not just me teaching them, but they're teaching me a lot of lessons, and I apply that a lot to my future classes.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's really good. Love of learning. It never goes away.
No.
We definitely appreciate that passion and the drive you have to show up and suit up and share that love for history and English and reading with your students. One last thing. Do we have time, Mrs. B? Where we at?
We do. Yep.
We do have time?
We do, yes.
Okay. What do you miss most about not being at school and being in our current pandemic? What stands out for you there?
Oh, I miss quite a few things. I miss the routine. I miss having conversations with students in the classroom, making jokes, talking about books all the time or looking at their writing, just talking to them in the hallway while I'm on supervision. There's a load of things I'm missing. I'm missing the conversations about volleyball a lot. Getting ready for that. We are hopefully supposed to be hosting provincials in November, but I don't know, I just miss all of it, the whole day. So.
You betcha. It's hard not to be there and engaged with those kids and having that fun. So
for sure.
Appreciate that.
I know that you're super busy all the time. So like swimming, figure skating, volleyball, basketball, all those kinds of things. What would be your favorite sport that you like, I know you're passionate about all of that stuff, but would you pick one, or could you pick one that you really love?
Oh, I'd pick volleyball for sure.
Yeah,
I absolutely love volleyball. I've been playing it for years, and I kind of increased the amount I was playing in university.
Right.
And I absolutely love coaching it. So
that's good.
Our players have improved so much these last couple of years. It's awesome to see that.
That's good.
See that we're getting ready for those bigger competitions later on.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful. Oh, there's a timer, but I'm hoping that we are able to host provincials. And it goes through, and hopefully the pandemic kind of subsides and kind of disappears, and hopefully we can get back into the routine and getting all those things going and again, because it's the routine of all of that. Even the sports is truly missed by coaches and by the students for sure.
Yeah.
So any last words, Mr. Archibald?
No, I think I'm just looking to wrap it up here. So thank you, Miss Kostyuk. Appreciate
you got it.
you coming on and sharing your story with us today. And look forward to seeing you again in the future. I do have one last challenge, and that's for our next contestant. I'm hoping he's our next contestant on Words of Wellness for next week, and that's Mr. Myers. And I've purposely grown out my COVID mustache, and I'm not one for facial hair. So this is a challenge, Mr. Myers. I want to see what you've been growing for the last 5 or 6 weeks. So
Yes.
we need to have a facial hair showdown. So I'm hoping you're going to suit up for next week. Anyways, I wish you guys all well, and I can't wait to talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for coming on there, Ms. Kostenik, and have a great day. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
See you.